mentioned, I'm currently a technical SEO account director at SEOs North. It's quite a mouthful, really. Yeah, I've been working in SEO for 7 years, over 7 years now. Not all tech, a bit of an all-rounder, but I'm currently in the tech realm. With that, unfortunately or fortunately, depending which way you look at it, a lot of migrations. So yeah, I've learned a lot over the years. I've worked with some big brands as well. Enterprise brands, you can see where I'm going with this. So yeah, today we're talking about enterprise migrations. So, I mean, it won't be any surprise to you what an enterprise migration is, but I guess for those of you who don't, an enterprise migration, I suppose, broken down, is well, an enterprise. It's a large company, often quite complex, often with multiple websites, multiple entities, generally with a lot of history, a lot of authority. And a migration, hopefully, we know what that is the process of a site, you move into a new domain, host, platform, or different structure, often to enhance performance, but can be security as well. But it's really just a massive migration. I've seen guides out there claiming that an enterprise migration is hundreds of thousands, it's over 1 million, it's over 2 million. It's just a big migration, really, for an enterprise website. With lots and lots of moving parts. So, yeah, I'm going to basically talk you through the key stages that I would take during a migration, specifically an enterprise migration, and yeah, offer some tips and strategies along the way that you can take into migrations moving forwards. So yeah, I typically split most migrations into 4 key stages. The 4 key stages are discovery and benchmarks, defining the project scope, assessing the sort of the beast, so to speak, the total number of URLs, what's going on, identifying the domain or URL changes, the risks involved, and then it's a great time to set some data benchmarks. The pre-launch checks, so actually this is the time to create a plan of action off the back of stage 1, time to potentially help the devs set up the staging environment, implement those redirects, conduct those technical checks and audits on that staging environment, and it's obviously a great time to back up the data as well. Launch day support, the time to execute. The time to monitor performance on launch day, make sure there's no immediate hiccups, test those redirects, check indexing, and then yeah, resolve any immediate issues off launch day. And then post-launch, which I feel like people forget about a lot, and it's sort of a bit of a blurred, there's a bit of a blurred line with post-launch as to what is post-launch and then what just becomes BAU. That's the thing I probably find the trickiest. But yeah, post-launch, obviously a great time to track performance and mop up any issues post-launch. Launch day is obviously the most important stage of a migration, right? It's not. The most important stages of a migration, specifically an enterprise migration, with loads of history, loads of authorities, easily discovery and pre-launch. You know, if you botch these 2 stages, it doesn't matter what you do on launch day, it's not going to save you. So yeah, it's critical to get these stages right, but I'm here to tell you a few tips on how to do that. So first things first, you want to be benchmarking all your site data, if you can, but obviously with a site, when you're dealing with hundreds of thousands of URLs, this might not be possible. Or it might be possible, it just might be really time consuming. And I guess that's the general theme of today's presentation. I guess the main difference between an enterprise migration and maybe a migration you might do with 100 pages or 200 pages is time, really. So with an enterprise migration, you want to be focusing on the elements that you know move the needle for a client. This is obviously H1s, inlinks. For most people, it'll be like above and below the full copy if it's like an e-com site, canonicals, but then also keeping track of like that bespoke data, like your key events. And you know, if hopefully, if it's a client that you've had for a while, you'll have that history of the account. But yeah, if it's not, it's something that you'll be able to find quite easily through analytics. When you're benchmarking site data, I just mentioned then analytics, the best thing to do, I would say, is start with your bread and butter tools. Search Console, Bing Webmasters. People forget that these tools offer data on links. We're quick to use Ahrefs, we're quick to use Majestic. They're fantastic tools, but I'd always start here first. This is your true data. This is what Google's crawled. So yeah, don't forget about these. Other tools are obviously great, by the way. Second thing that helps this process is Wayback Machine. If there's any particular standout pages that are driving conversions or are really important to a business, it can be a great time ahead of the migration to start saving some of these pages down in Wayback Machine. So you get a live content backup of the URL structure, the page content, the code, basically just a load of stuff that you might miss in just like a spreadsheet. You get a visual of the page as well, which you wouldn't get with a spreadsheet of data. This does take a lot of time, so you're going to have to cherry pick which pages that you do decide to index in Wayback Machine. But yeah, that's discovery, I would say. Tips for pre-launch. Obviously redirects, right? This is the biggie. I guess I kind of skimmed past it on that first slide there, but obviously redirects are extremely important for a migration. For those that don't know what redirects are, I guess, yeah, they direct Google to the new location of a page when a page changes. Hopefully we're all aware of that, but if you're not, yeah, otherwise you're left with a 404. These are critical to a migration in telling Google exactly where the new landing pages are once that site is no longer with us. For an enterprise site, however, redirects cannot be manually mapped because it just takes too much time. This is a kind of a nice kind of picture of how long it would take for to map 100,000 URLs. Let's say, for example, it took 15 seconds per URL. You were quick. On average, it took you 15 seconds. For 100,000 URLs, it'd take you 52 full working days. A client's just not going to pay for that. If they are, fantastic. Don't map them manually anyways. Take that money and use it for something else. It's not worth it. So this is obviously the stage that takes the most time. It doesn't have to. There's ways to prioritize. There's ways to speed this process up. One of these ways is by doing some kind of simple value formula. In the example on the right here, I just grabbed a list of pages, then clicks, impressions, and then I grabbed link data from Ahrefs, Search Console, Majestic, and TrustFlow from Majestic as well. And then if any of those values were 0 in the link column, it would be false. And if clicks were below a certain threshold, it would be false. And this is a simple way to just mark up which of your pages are priorities. But yeah, you can basically enhance this to include conversions, sessions, revenue, whatever it is that is important to the business in question. This is a way that I've developed over the last year that's kind of helped me with, God, how many migrations have I done this year? I think I'm up to 9 or 10 this year. Some of them absolute beasts as well. But this is a bit more of a complicated way of doing that value formula. I did say at Brighton SEO, and you can see the Brighton SEO logos are still there. I forgot to take them off. But I did say at Brighton I would share this around on LinkedIn. I will actually share this around on LinkedIn this time, I promise. But basically what it does is it gives you a value scoring out of 10. So rather than just being true, false, it's okay, how valuable is it? And it essentially takes all the columns, so you've got click, sessions, conversions in this example, and you've got link data as well. It takes all the columns and it gives them like each of the columns like a weighted score, so it times it all together and then gives you like a value out of 10, and then this is great moving forwards because you do this at the start of the migration. You have a simple value assigned to a URL that tells you that this URL is more important than this one, so maybe you want to be spending more time optimizing this page than this page. Super handy, and actually not that, it just looks complicated, it's not that complicated. But yeah, I will actually share this round once this talk is finished. And it gets guaranteed praise from peers, from clients. They just love this. Clients love a scoring system. Anything that you can whack a colour on something, anything you can whack like a value or like a number on something, clients just seem to love. This URL is a 9 out of 10. Okay, we'll put some resource into that then. My favourite is this one here, from one of the devs from a site I was working on earlier this year. It said, "This is gorgeous." So that's sort of what you're working with this formula. But yeah, another way that I think often gets forgotten is the fuzzy. So this isn't native to Excel. I don't think it's native to Google Sheets either. But you can download a simple extension and you can get access to what's called a fuzzy lookup, which is essentially how a VLOOKUP would match URLs or data based on them being exactly the same. Fuzzy will match it based on the highest similarity score. So this can be nice if you've got let's say a list of URLs from one site and another site. Fuzzy will tell you the most similar and it'll give you a percentage score, which is great. But you can take this a step further if you really want to, and you can crawl content of, let's say you use the previous prioritized scoring formula. You could maybe grab like a list of everything above 5 and crawl the content and get the content of the old site and the new site and do the fuzzy on that instead. I quite like this, and I still use it now. It's a lot easier than, it's a lot easier once you've got it set up in Sheets and Excel. But yeah, can massively speed up the mapping process. So one thing that often gets forgotten about with redirects, I feel like, is legacy redirects. When you're working with like a site that's huge, often the reason for a change might be a change in system or CMS. But with an old CMS, you find that often they'll have like really hacky ways to get around stuff, and with this it'll be really old redirects and things like that that are tied to the old system, and you move to a different platform, those are gone. So yeah, there's obviously historic 404s, non-canonical URLs with backlinks, they're worth grabbing as well, so that things like your parameterized URLs or like dynamic pages that get created, they just get forgotten about most of the time, or they get wildcarded at the end of the migration oftentimes. But if you find they've got backlinks, like, it's obviously worth mapping to a relevant page, because they might provide value to the next site. Yeah, and the other thing is maybe it's assets or imagery with links as well that can often be forgotten about. But yeah, the other part of pre-launch, and the other large part aside from redirects, I would say, is that it can be a brilliant time to sneak some upgrades in. So let's say you've had a client for 5-10 years, and this can just be a nightmare to just get changes live sometimes. For whatever reason, like, I think it's the fact that most of the devs are on like a migration, you've got so much tech support ongoing that it can be so easy to just get these changes that maybe historically you've been having issues with pushed. And I think it can be a great opportunity to actually perform off the back of a migration rather than a decline, which is often the case. Some examples here, I think big ones will be obviously new page creation, nav and footer upgrades, maybe it's improving on thin and low value pages. But yeah, you can basically use it as an excuse to push anything. Other considerations for pre-launch, so this was a nice one from Gap when they migrated, was adding a HTML banner, let Google and let users know exactly what's going on. Google will crawl it, customers will see it at the top of the page. And it can be a great way of telling Google about the change. Also, make sure to remove all brand mentions if it's like a branding thing, if it's a branding reason for migration, and old country mentions as well. Now, tips for post-launch. Post-launch is more than just performance and rank tracking. There's so many things you can do in post-launch outside of just tracking rankings and outside of tracking clicks are down. Like, obviously, it's a migration. There's so many things you can do in Search Console. So this has obviously been around for a long time. And tell Google basically about your change within Search Console. You can use the change of address field. Basically tells Google that you're going from X site to Y site. In this example, you can see when we made the change, the click just dropped off a cliff. It's usually works pretty quickly. And then same as an alternate name schema. If, like I say, if it's a branding exercise, if it's a rebrand, same as schema, you can say this brand is now this brand within your schema. It's another little signal to Google as to what's happening. Submitting old and new sitemaps. So this is a really good one. It's one that I don't often get the opportunity to do, but when it does happen, it's really useful. So obviously, submitting new sitemap files when a site is pushed live is extremely important. It helps Google to crawl the new pages, but I think one that gets forgotten about is actually uploading old sitemap files. So Google will crawl the old URLs, discover the redirects, and then discover the new pages via the redirects. I think it's a really nice signal. And also what you get in here is if you submit that sitemap to Search Console, you'll also see those old URLs dropping off over time, and you can see how many URLs are in the index still. So it's a super fun one, but it's tricky because you often have to. It's often a manual job for a dev to get the sitemap live, and it's normally too much effort for a dev, but it's a nice one to do when you have the chance. And then other entities, if you're working with a large company, hopefully they'll have Wikipedia data, and they might have like other properties as well, like across the web. Making sure you update these as quick as you can. I think this is a crucial step at post-launch. Obviously, Google values high authority sources like Wikipedia. This can be a really nice one. The example here was O2 and Virgin Media's change here, and Lloyd's TSB to Lloyd's Bank. They just had a quick addition of content into their Wikipedia that explained what was happening, but with a link back to the new site. And then digital PR, how could we forget? It's a great time to shout about the change. It's such an easy hook for most migrations. That something's happening, something new's happening, especially if it's a rebrand. It can be a really, really good hook for getting some links in. I don't know why, but for whatever reason, it seems that digital PR budget just seems to get forgotten about during a migration when ideally it should be ramped up. And then finally, I think this is the final one, is link reclamation. So this one is a bit of an iffy one. I would say it's more about prioritization, but link reclamation essentially is the process of reclaiming old backlinks that go into your old site and asking the webmaster or the author or whoever in question to change the link to the new location. To be honest, it's kind of hit or miss, and if you were to do this, I'd probably only do this if you have some serious links, if you have some links with some serious domain rating, or you've got some good connections, you know the people. Otherwise, you can piss people off and they could just completely remove the links, but it can be a good one to think about. But you should definitely prioritise what you go after here. And that's it. So hopefully some tips there for you to take away for your next migration or enterprise migration. Feel free to connect with me, LinkedIn and Instagram. Thanks a lot.
Big round of applause for Harrison. Anyone spot the GeoCities reference there? Does anyone remember GeoCities? Yeah, I built my first website on GeoCities too long ago. Anyway, we've got a little change to the schedule tonight, so we've actually got an impromptu speaker, which is Charlie. Charlie, where are you? Charlie Whitworth is, so he's the owner of Whitworth SEO, which is a Manchester SEO agency, and he's got a talk to how to pitch a killer SEO proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello. So yeah, excuse this because it's about a year and a half old. I think how to do proposals hasn't changed much in a year and a half, has it? This was kind of before AI, so there's no like references there, but you'll notice a lot of the imagery might be from early versions of AI, so excuse that. So yeah, excuse the branding as well. Then I was into Manchester SEO, that was a really awesome Manchester meetup, which I think this is the last one they did actually, but yeah, excuse the branding. So yeah, I'm going to run you through how I would pitch a killer SEO proposal. Thumbs up. There we go. Yeah, so I'd like an extra year and a half onto this. So yeah, I'm Charlie Whitworth. I run a consultancy in Manchester called, very narcissistically, Whitworth SEO. Could be bothered to think of brand names, so there we go. 14 years agency side, worked with some pretty cool brands. Done a fair bit of public speaking, although since I've run my own event, actually I realised this might be my first actual talk for quite a while. So excuse me if I'm a bit rusty, but yeah, we're a small consultancy in Manchester doing all things organic search. So this is the one that I just checked on my phone. I was hoping it was going to be right in here. So not sure what that slide was meant to be, but it's fine. So, right, SEO proposal. Obviously, every proposal should be different, right? I think we're all used to being quite templated in SEO and just having a deck for proposals. I think the big thing I'll say over the years is just there are different proposals. Anyone who watches The Office will get this reference for different needs. I think establishing those needs as early as possible and, as I say, not having that templated approach is dead key to having a successful proposal because A, clients can see if it's templated and if it's not relevant, and obviously just trying to get under the skin of what that client needs early on is always very helpful. And yeah, it essentially comes down to like the pre-pitch research. So depending on whether you work for like a large agency or a consultancy or even if you're a freelancer, I think the information you can get about the brand and the client early on, which can be difficult at times, is really crucial. So if you've got like a client services team or an account management team, getting as much of a brief as you can. So the proposal is key, so then you can actually tailor a proposal to that specific client. Obviously, you know, we want to all just get stuck into the SEO and get stuck into the Search Console and find loads of like SEO stuff. But that's kind of what one of the previous talks before was talking about. The kind of business needs are the crucial thing, really, and like they don't really want to hear about mismatched canonicals, or maybe they do. It depends who you're talking to, but kind of getting that free pitch information is really important. So kind of getting that brief. And it's whether or not speaking to, as I say, your client services teams, your account managers, whoever it is that's introduced the client that might know loads about the business and that's why they've brought them in. Although it can be really difficult, I think trying to get that brief as early as possible is really important. So before you go off and start doing your crawling and your auditing and start using all your tools to kind of get all your insight, is that relevant? Is that what they need to know? Is that what they want to know? Yeah, and essentially trying to get as much of a detailed brief as possible. By the way, obviously I'm not sitting this deck for a year and a half, so I'm just quickly checking what we're saying, but I'm pretty sure that's bang on. And yeah, your audience. So who you're pitching to is obviously like a complete game changer really. If you're pitching to like a head of SEO who understands SEO, that's kind of like an open goal because you can go in with all that kind of juicy SEO insight. He will want to hear about canonicalization issues, he will want to hear about mismatched page plan tags, he will want to hear the kind of technical stuff, or she, sorry. But the managing director of the company won't want to know. They'll want to know about revenue and they'll want to know about like literally cut the noise out for us and just tell us exactly what you found, what impact it's going to have on ROI, which completely changes the proposal. So knowing who you're presenting to is obviously key, and even the head of marketing, which might probably want to sit between those two. So understanding who you actually going to present the proposal to completely changes the document, changes what you're going to present and why, and kind of how you kind of package that up as well. So obviously you need to do the tab auditing, you need to do the content, you need to do all that work. It's really about the story you're going to then tell that data and that information. So again, finding out you was empty. So I must have gone to, God, over 20, 30 pictures of my grill. I wasn't really sure who I was presenting to. Sometimes it depends, kind of depends who turned up, client side on the day, which obviously does change things if you can't find that information out. It changes your proposal quite a bit. And then it's the story. So yeah, here we go. This is like AI 2 years ago. We used to do like DALI and all that. And like, what is it? It's awful. Yeah, that's another one. That's definitely not me. But yeah, deciding on the narrative. So trying to tell a story rather than quite a list of stuff, kind of covered that already, and based on the brief. So if you can get a brief, then great. Usually the brief is like, oh, the traffic's down, the ex-agency was shit, we need someone to come and help us repair that. Can you come and tell us why that should be you? But if you can get a brief of exactly what the business goals are and KPIs, great. And it could be the size of the opportunity, so a lot of the time it's obviously trying to tell the client, right, well, here's where you are, here's what you can achieve, and this is kind of our suggestion for doing that. And then how you can best tell that story. You don't want to overwhelm them by being like, right, you know, we've got all this to do, and sometimes they can shut down and be like, well, we don't have the resource for that, or the budget. So depending on if you can get that information, that's really key as well. There could be a significant category that they're missing out on, which you can go with like the close you can to like a silver bullet, I suppose, to be like, right, we've found these gaps for you. But always tie it back to that brief if you can get one. For large sites, yeah, focus on key categories. So yeah, going back to Harrison's talk room at enterprise level, you're not going to like do a full technical audit, full content, all the stuff that you'd like to do for an organic search strategy for like a 1 million page website or more. For the proposal stage, it might be easier if you can highlight an opportunity where there's a key category or a key keyword gap or a key product or service that they're missing out on, and really hone on that. Because it can be really easy to go away, do your audit and be like, right, well, we've got this information, but A, it will overwhelm them, as I mentioned before. If you can find them one opportunity that they can take away and be like, well, you know, great, we get cracking with that tomorrow. That's the kind of conversation you want to be having, where they're like, right, well, we think we can kind of start attacking that pretty quickly. Whereas if you overwhelm them with loads of information, sometimes that can, as I say, just feel like a bridge too far for them. So yeah, establishing, I'm not saying much about that, yeah, establishing categories and opportunities in that proposal stage, because let's face it, none of us are doing a full, extensive, deep technical audit, content audit, competitor analysis, everything for a pitch level audit, if you are on the fair play, but probably don't have a resource for that. Highlighting the key category or key opportunity can probably be the way to go for that kind of sales audit proposal. And they want to see the size of the opportunity, don't they, really? I mean, essentially, if they've been doing SEO before, it's not been working, or maybe they haven't been doing SEO. A lot of these brands have probably could have been investing in like other products. But they want to know where they are, what's the size of the opportunity, essentially, what do we need to do to get there, and the amount of work and budget will be needed to gain market share. So essentially, they're going to know what they need to do, and to what extent you can help them to achieve that. And it's kind of tell that in a concise way. As I say, I think we've all fallen into trap feel like we found all this stuff to do, and actually that can be counterproductive because it can completely like overwhelm with that. Well, no, we haven't got time, resource, and money to do that. So trying to tell it in a way that they're like, right, okay, well, there's quite a bit that we can attack. This is what we can do straight away for you to start to drive growth. So yeah, they want to know how much work and essentially how much money. That's what it helps with. A view of this far as a kind of simple roadmap can be very helpful. What split that is between technical content and off-site SEO, and essentially, I guess, what the split is between what we'll do and what all the tools that we use, but to the client, it doesn't really mean much. You've got to kind of try and contextualise that for them. And like just screenshots of all this little thing I've learned, like trying to, even if you just download the data from systems, put it into your own format, into your own line graph, so it doesn't look like you've just copied and pasted Systrix. It's little things like that, but like it looks like your data then, rather than anyone can basically go into a tool and do a screenshot. And although that sounds like a small thing, like I think that can be quite crucial if you have everything in your own format and your own branding. The client will obviously look at the compression and it's your own analysis, your own data. So just over-reliance on screenshots, it can look a bit lazy, it looks a bit messy, and let's say a little bit of ownership of data can sometimes help. And process and ways of working. So yeah. This one. this one as well. Prospects of- Yeah, I think I've pretty much said all that. And then you could do showcase one, but yeah, differentiators. And as I said, previous to the previous slide, really, they'll have probably seen Ahrefs data, they'll have seen SEMrush data, they've probably got SEMrush and probably seen that data themselves. Anything you can do to get that data and create your own story, and so you packaged it up a little bit differently to the competitors will definitely help. And yeah, if tech recommendations are inevitably the same, then like they're going to want to know exactly what you can go away and do with them straight away. And if you can work with their teams seamlessly and things like that, so it'll be more about synergy rather than the same old reports and the same old tools. Yeah, I do think less is more at the proposal stage. I think I mentioned a few times already that balance between, yeah, I'm an expert, we've got all these insights and recommendations for you, but then also packaged up in a way that doesn't look too scary is really the key. I think they'll a lot of the time, especially if it's an RFP or if you've gone against another competitor, a lot of the content will be the same, and the lasting impression they'll get is, are these guys a bit different, or do we feel like they can hit the ground running tomorrow? So less is more in that respect, and then they're not going to want over SEO detail. We all think SEO is difficult, but they probably don't. A War and Peace proposal, yeah. I mean, I've run a proposal with 12 slide deck, and I've seen, sometimes I've been able to get hold of the competitors' decks, and like, honestly, a 40-page, 50-page proposal deck is just overwhelming to anyone that doesn't love SEO. And the most visual way as possible, yeah, so not endless Monday assignment notifications. They're not going to want to think that the minute you start the campaign, they're suddenly going to have like 20 or 30 Trello, Monday, whatever notifications in their inbox every day. They're going to want a few, they're going to know you're on the ball, they're probably going to want to concise you, like this is what we're doing. And they're going to hear that, not, please can you get so-and-so to implement this, please can you send us this, please can you action this. They're going to be like, this is what we're doing, this is what we've done. Actually, we've done a few things you do need assistance with, that's fair enough. But like, they're going to want their job to be easier, not harder. And countless notifications from whatever tool you use are not going to help with that. So ultimately your job will be to get results and make them look good with the least path of resistance, basically. So that's important. And minimise the waffle. So yeah, I think that goes back to the jargon point. Well then, what image would you use for that, to be fair? It would have to be. It could be the fourth or fifth proposal they've seen. You know, if you've gone last in the stage, that can sometimes be a good thing, so it'd be the last thing that they've seen, but also could be a bad thing because they've heard the same thing 4 or 5 times. So think of a way to differentiate yourself. They've heard the jargon, they've heard all the agency creds, they've probably met the office dog and loved the fact you love to know that with data. Yeah, that's still true. Tell your story succinctly and try and stand out a bit. So taking that same data, but your ability as an SEO to essentially, yeah, give them some confidence that you can get stuff done quickly and efficiently without being too much of a pain in the arse, basically. And the dead obvious stuff. Case studies, yeah, how long will it take? I mean, that's key because a lot of the time that can be quite vague. So, like, depending on resource, internally and externally, how long is it going to take, A, to get stuff done, and B, for them to see that impact. Direct testimonials, specifically if you're working in the same sector, if you work in the same sector, if you can get a testimony from someone where you've done a great job in that sector, that clearly is going to help. Costs, I mean, sometimes I leave them out at that very first proposal stage where you just want to talk about what you do and why you do it. Obviously when it gets to the business end of that conversation, they're going to want to know. I try to like leave the money conversation for as long as possible because we want it to be about that synergy. And obviously, you know, costs are important, but if you hit them with money straight away, obviously just not a great look. Meet the team, like I think, mostly if you work for agencies, but most people will do some sort of immersion session fairly early, and even if you can do it before that final pitch, to like meet the team, get a flavour of what their challenges are, how it can help you to then obviously look like you're a problem solver and you can help them to fill those gaps. And smile. I don't like the loud one. You should smile. There we go. That's my impromptu talk from a year and a half ago. Hope it's still relevant. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.
Gary, just before we begin, Gary is our food and drink sponsor for this evening, so give him a big another round of applause for that. And he also is the founder of HiveMCR SEO conference in Manchester. So Charlie, if you just want to give the crowd a little bit of an intro into HiveMCR and...
Yeah, sure. So I don't know if any of you have heard of it. It's HiveMCR, Hive Manchester. So it's our 3rd year next year. So it's in May. Kind of started off as a bit of an idea of a meetup and kind of got a bit out of hand. We've got quite a big venue. We've had some really good speakers over the years already. I tend to kind of curate the lineup based off who I think's kind of telling people the right kind of information. We're on the 21st and 22nd of next year. The first day is masterclasses from a range of different, from like content, PR, tech SEO, range of people at agency, leadership workshop as well. And then on the Friday we've got another really good lineup. So yeah, there's QR codes on the screen. Hive Manchester. Yeah, check it out. If you fancy an SEO conference in Manchester next summer, then yeah, come on. Thank you.
Just one more thing, Charlie. Tell the calibre of talent that you've got lined up as well.
I'm not talking, thankfully. So, off my head. We've got Carrie Rose, we've got Itamar Blower, we've got Nikki Hathawell. Is speaking as well. We're actually doing like an all Manchester panel on the Thursday evening after the masterclasses. Actually, we've got Dawn Anderson coming to that as well. We've got Harrison is coming to talk. Ryan White, if any of you saw his talk at Brighton, that was quite an eventful one. When you were there, it was quite the experience, wasn't it? But yeah, Ryan's talking as well. So that's like our all Manchester panel on the Thursday evening. We've also got live bands and comedy. So we're trying to turn it into a bit like a festival vibe, so it's not all just technical SEO talks as well. There's probably loads more that you put me on the spot. I'm not sure them all. But yeah, no, it's a really good lineup. Scan the QR code, check it out. It's in Manchester in the summer. It's at New Century Hall. If any of you've been there in Manchester, it's a really good venue. So yeah, hopefully see you there.
Thanks, Charlie. Next up, we have Sophie Gibson. Sophie is the Technical SEO Director of Studio Hawk, and her talk is how to lose 100k in 10 days. So just give us a moment. Nikki's going to get your slides out. There you go.
Thanks very much. Hello everyone. So, I'm Sophie. I'm the Technical SEO Director at Studio Hawk. Here are some handles on Twitter, or X, that I no longer use. So connect with me on LinkedIn if you actually want to speak to me online. And today, I want to talk to you about how to lose a guy in 10 days. Hang on. No, it's not how to lose a guy in 10 days. It's how to lose 100k in 10 days. So, what we're going to look through today. So, I'm going to tell you how I found that there was around £314,000 per month loss that we determined that would happen on this website for some changes that happened due to a lot of different technical SEO issues. So this is roughly around 100k in 10 days. So the maths actually worked out really perfectly. Slightly, it's like something like 102.1, but let's not go into semantics here. It's 100k in 10 days. So I'm just going to give some caveats. So it's a website I have not personally worked on. This is a case study that I did quite some time ago. The example is from 2019. So hopefully they've fixed some stuff up now. I will not tell you to go have a look now. If you want to find out more, check out Wayback Machine. And it's all using third-party data, free tools to diagnose issues. So if you don't really know technical and you want to have a look, all of these tools will be accessible to you. So I'm looking at the Next website. I'm really sorry if anyone from Next is here. Hopefully not. And yeah, please don't go shouting around being like, the Next website shit. Because it might be all fixed up by now. But yeah, this is the site that I've been using as my case study for this. And I'm going to introduce our characters. I don't know if anyone's actually seen How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. Hopefully a few of us, it's kind of a classic one. But our characters today are Andy, who's going to be the website in our use of yellow flags, and Ben, who is going to be representing Google in this scenario. So, The premise is, Andy works at a magazine and she's got to write an article about how to lose a guy in 10 days. So she's got to be so off-putting as she can in order to write this really good article. And the hook, so they meet at a party and Andy, who's the website, meets Ben, who's Google, and the sparks fly. And Ben, he loves women, he loves websites, and he's really excited to actually, look at the site, index it, figure out what's going on, because he's got a huge bet riding this as well. So he is made a bet with his superior that he's going to be able to win this woman over in order to grab some massive advertising agency's budget, so to win that client. And he's real confident. He thinks she's already in love with him. But actually, Andy is going to want to make him wish that he was dead. So, what are all the off-putting ways that Andy, as a website, is going to off-put Google? So, we're going to jump into some of these behaviours that we're going to do. So, first of all, she gives him a love third, which is a representation of their kind of relationship. So, we're going to look at our sitemap contents. And using ScreenFrog, you can do this. List mode, you download the sitemap index. Also, there's alternative crawling tools we can use. So if you, Sitebuilder are offering a 60-day extended free trial if you want to use them. I use them all the time, they're great. It's sitebuilder.com/north. Perfect, all right. That must be a logo. Also, these guys do the free song, you say, not as good, but you can have a look at the sitemap content. So the website has shown it, it's got 194,000 URLs in the sitemap. Perfect, great. Unfortunately, Ben let the love phone die. What actually happened? Andy overwatered the plant to make sure it would die because she wants to make sure that the website is not good and doesn't like it. So, what is the actual? What does Google see? And sees finds a way for more pages to have them. The website got way more pages than it's actually showing Google. So if you actually look in the search results, I've got a note here. It's not an accurate way of finding things, but I am using third-party tools. So I'm using what I've got, which is using, if you put site into domain and search there, it tells you roughly how many pages might be available for that site. We've got 569,000 pages. So this is quite a lot compared with the 194,000 URLs. So we've got a big difference here. 3 times as many URLs in the search. Like, why is this even happening? So we've got the homepage. If we click on one of those homepage banners, we get to the trending velvets page. It's Christmas, we're running up to the right time of year that we're looking at velvet, like dresses, etc. They've got a homepage on the URL. If you take that away, then they've also got a very randomly titled Party Wear Velvet page, which is pretty much the same. So the only difference really in these is that there's 101 products, there's 102 products on the other page, so there's like 1 product difference. Different URLs, basically the same amount of products and the same actual collection. So, like, just the title difference, that's the only difference between those 2 pieces of content. But we want to know how big of an issue is this to the site? Like, how many pages does this actually affect? So, big, we'll find out. So, if you look to see how many pages have 0 homepage in there, it will tell you about 4,000 results. So, it's not a massive percentage, it's somewhat. So let's dig a little deeper. What else can we find? If there's this duplicated, and I found that from clicking a banner on the homepage, what else can we find? So they've got a brand section. So I thought, let's have a look, see what brands they've got listed. They sell a lot of different designers, etc. And the amount of URLs that are on that page is 1,069, which is quite a lot of different brands to be selling, but I digress. They've got 165,000 results. Considering they've only got 1,000 actual brands on the site, maybe they've got some variations of the brand. Maybe they're selling Adidas trainers and Adidas tracksuits, and maybe they've got 4 or 5. But 165,000 different pages just talking about brands, that's quite a lot. So yeah, that's 30%. So that's quite a big issue. One of the brands, for example, just picked one about them in there, Miller, don't know who they are, but 496 results. So this is just one brand. They've got different pages for this many, like, I'm sure this one brand doesn't have that many products or that many category pages. I mean, some of them look optimized, so maybe. And then also looking at promotion pages as well, because these started appearing in here. So if anything that had promotion in the URL, 4%, kind of an issue, but probably a little bit bigger than some, but not massive. So yeah, 0.3%. And then actually, we noticed on some of these that there's going to be some URLs that got sorting in them. So here we've got faceted navigation of some sort. That's actually being indexed or potentially being indexed, showing that there's some pages here that maybe their filters are crawlable. Who knows? But actually, they've done a smart thing here. It is blocked from the robots.txt file because Google's not able to actually fetch any information from this page. So we're saying, like, please don't talk to this page. So they've tried, but it still appears when we're having a look in the Google index. So yeah, indexable filters. If you go on, click, I want the jumpsuit category. I'm going to have a look to see what's on there. This page is indexable. So this is what a minefield that we're working with. This looks like our entire filter selection is all clickable, it's got internal links. Google's able to find all of these pages through these filters. So you're going to end up with a massive network of pages where Google's going to get stuck. So Andy's actually created multiple versions of herself. So throughout this whole film, like, calls in a meeting, talks in a baby voice. Also cries in a restaurant because she's vegetarian actually, and he didn't know, and she was eating meat and therefore she's crying. So she's got so many different variations of herself that actually Google hasn't a clue what to expect. So Google feels like that. It's like, why would I need to hit on another website? Because you've got more than enough pages to keep me completely occupied. Like, he's actually completely lost in this web of pages, indexable filters that he just can't escape. But the most of all, how much money would this actually cost? So, to estimate this, we're going to use a lot of third-party data. Case studies are a really good thing to get any buy-in for any technical SEO issues. So use statistics from case studies, you can find them online, you can use them from your own websites, from your own data that you've got. So I found this case study talking about how fixing index flow, reducing a 22% increase in organic traffic and a 7% increase in organic revenue. So this is from implementing a technical fix that reduced the amount of those duplicates. Also, we can have a look about how much decline happened recently. Like, you don't need to have internal data to figure out whether or not a site is actually having a pretty bad time at the moment. So for this site, category rank had gone down, the global rank had gone down. So again, all from 2019, it's a similar web. So you can see that it's gone down using SpyFu, again, another free third-party website. We can see that they had lost, I think, 23.6 thousand ranking positions in the previous month. In the previous 3 months, 16.1. So they'd had something happen. Could be a platform, probably could be a very bad migration, especially if they didn't follow Harrison's advice. So a big issue was kind of like something had happened then. So if we think about if they achieve that, then maybe we could achieve the same, we might not. But if we got a 7% increase in organic revenue and the estimated monthly click value was 1.78 million, if we increase that by 7%, we would get £124,000 per month. And that's equivalent to about 141k in 10 days. So what is the next behaviour that Andy wants to do to be able to push Google away? So he gives him a really cutesy nickname. So calls him up, he's in a work meeting, and calls him Benny Boo Boo. So he actually gives him what Ben or Google sees is a repetitive and optimized metadata. So what is he seeing? So when I had a look at all of these pages that were indexed, we've got like words like trending high neck, trending high neck, trending high neck. Like it's repetitive, it doesn't make sense. What on earth is this page about? I have no idea. Modern heritage, velvet, velvet, new. It's repetitive, it doesn't make sense. Google's not going to understand this. Same for brand titles. So again, everything's repeated, and we've got this very long. It's not just brand name, it's not just yet next UK. It's from the next UK online shop. And that appears on very many pages. And looking at just, you can search in title and find something from title tags. It just says from the next UK online shop. That's 20% of the index URLs just have that repetitive, very long ending of the title tag. You know, I know we're not putting too much stake on how long a title tag is, but that's a lot of real estate that you're losing. Combine your very long end of brand sentence with the repetitive, like triple repeats on those some, you're going to get pages that are contextless and very long. So yeah, Ben, as Google, no context to actually what that page is about. He's a professional, he's at work, and you're embarrassing him. So what is the next behaviour? So we've got, there's a Knicks game. Very excitedly goes to, gets tickets to his favourite basketball team. And Andy asks him, can he go get her a drink of soda, Coca-Cola, right at the last minute of the film. So he actually misses the winning shot at the Knicks game. So he's fuming because she just really needed to have that, apparently, have that soda. And this is some bad flow of link equity and contextless URL structure. So how have we found this? So when we look at the actual URLs of some of these pages, like they really don't make sense from a readable perspective. Sometimes this is a CMS issue. You've got no control over this sometimes, but this page was gender newborn unisex, gender older boys, gender younger boys, product affiliation, sweatshirts and hoodies. Now, if I was looking at this page, how on earth would I actually figure out what this page is actually targeting? Because the URL certainly doesn't help. And also on their product pages, it was SKU-based, presumably. I would like the G83106 dress, please. Said no one ever. And when you had a look at what sites were actually, like what pages were appearing in the list that Google was showing us, when we were doing a site search, there was only one category link in there. And also there's loads of paginated URLs appearing, so what was happening there? Again, directors know, the search order doesn't necessarily mean Google will view these pages as more important. You need your actual data to figure that out, but it's a fairly decent indication. So yeah, the first pages were page 312 of the online exclusive catalogue. So 312, page 97, like what actually is happening? Why are these pages appearing in here? And actually it turns out they're pretty good pages. I discovered from things. So we're on page 82, beautiful Christmas, LED light with wooden star wreath. So, but unfortunately, they all have the canonicals set as pointing at page 1. We're on page 82. And You may also like, there's products here. Actually, from an internal linking perspective, this is incredible. Like, great, you can view lots of different pages. If Google got to this page, you can find other stuff. But actually, we're saying, yeah, don't look at page 82. This is not unique. We want you to look at page 1 all the time. And this was the same across any actual paginated series. I know sometimes, you do want your pagination to, you want people to look at all of the different pages because there's unique URLs. If you're searching and sorting, maybe not so much, but this is actually a case where you want self-referential canonicals here. So yeah, unique page content, browsing collections, a great place for internal linking, but all of this was basically thrown away because the canonicals are saying actually ignore any other indexing signal and give everything to page 1. So you're losing out on all of that discoverability. So yeah, Google misses, like Ben did, missed all of the paginated pages in the series, just like he missed the winning shot. And what is our next behavior? So, she crashes poker night. So he's at home, he's in his safe space, and she comes over to try and push him away, lets himself in with a key she made, and we're going to talk about how this is related to bad UX on 404 pages. So this was the page in 2019. Don't look at what page I was looking at, I was looking at a sitemap. But there's no menu. It's not like it's part of the original site. You don't know where you're going to go. There's 3 very sad links. No menu to go back to. 3 static pages: shoes, dresses, or jeans. If you're looking for something else, then no, you weren't. There's no products, no search term suggestions for alternative categories, products, nothing. And what if people get to there? There's link equity passing along is to 3 pages, and they've got a lot of links. It's next, like, think of years. What if 1% of external links were broken? They've got 10 million backlinks. So that's even just 1% of those were broken. That's 100,000 URLs. There's one category page, there's an even deeper page linked to it, and this had 1,800 links pointing to it. So, like, even if one not that important link was broken, then that could have a really big impact across everything. Google, or Ben, can't escape. It's his house, and he's being embarrassed in front of his friends because no one likes a Mr. Sniffles. So yeah, only 23% of visitors that encounter a 404 page will actually make an attempt to find this next page. So that means 77% of website visitors landing on 404 pages are gone, lost, never see them again. So if we look at their traffic overview by similar spreadsheet, so we can actually give a rating about how many pages have organic traffic and backlinks, so we can actually give the client a score. No pressure, Alison. So yeah, and create a decision tree to categorize how to handle each page. Like, if there's organic traffic, keep the page, like, it's still working. Some low traffic, dupe exists, has external links, maybe we want to redirect it to keep that link equity. Doesn't have any traffic, nobody goes to it, it's not linked anywhere, don't want to delete, forget about it, good man. Anything else, if it's got absolutely nothing, it hasn't had traffic in forever, then it's dead, it's died. Shoot that. Then we've got fixing homepage duplication. So 4,000 pages, not massive, but also it's linked on the homepage. It's got quite a lot of power on these pages, and you could be doing something better. So short term, you might want to, stick a piece of duct tape over that shit, and maybe want to no index anything that is technically duplicated that the marketing team really wants a unique category to go on the homepage because we need to handpick the products. Whatever that reason might be, you might want to just stick a no index tab on that so you're actually not fucking about with having duplicates. But really, you'd want to link to only the main category page. So if you've got a party wear and velvet page, you just link to that one. Don't create a second one just to have a link on your homepage. Doesn't make sense. And therefore you keep your link equity to those like actual real pages. Then you can also use stuff like custom extraction. I mean, Sitebull do this really well. So you can compare the number of product results, so you can have a look. So I showed you there was like 101 products and versus 102 products. You could just pull out the number of those and be able to compare. Like, is it the same products and is it just the number of products that's in that category that's different? Then you've got some like actual quantifiable thing to realise what's going to be different. And then if you're able to get rid of all of those homepage URLs, just redirect them all into the main categories where the product selections should actually be and where the link equity should actually go. And then we've got other stuff. So I mentioned the canonicals. That's going to be a great place for Google to find internal links to actual real pages that actually make sense, like products that you want indexing. So make sure all the canonicals are changed. That's going to be, there was 236 pages, was it? They're going to find, you're going to open up so many much more doorways if you can actually set those canonicals so Google can find every single page of those and not just think it's just one. And also create actual title tag patterns. You don't want to manually write all of these like new and trending, high neck, whatever categories, but can you create patterns that make sense based on the brand, the type of product? You need to speak to your dev team, get that programmed in so you can actually apply it across all of the category pages that make sense. So even if you don't want those pages indexed, Google actually understands what the fuck they're on about, because those title tags really weren't helping. And then also remove those scripts that you're not using. Check the code coverage report in Sitebull, and it will tell you exactly what scripts are not being used. There's a whole e-commerce series. If you've not watched it, have a look at that. It's all available on YouTube. On the website, on the Sitebull website. So yeah, you can speed up the site. Better conversions happen as well when the site is not very slow for people to use. And also improve your data collection, because I bet their analytics was a mess if they've got 4 different page view tags tracking. Like, how do you know if somebody new came to your site? You really don't know. So we've got to go. And just want to leave you with this. So it's not about avoiding mistakes. It's about learning how to win Google's heart back. That was how to lose 100K in 10 days. Technical book.
Thank you, Sophie. That was really good. Thank you. Thank you. Another round of applause for Sophie, please. So, our evening didn't go to a schedule. We had a Lydia drop out. She had a childcare issue. But, we had Charlie drop in and deliver a really, really good speech. Harrison, really good. Georgia, you're going to go far. That was brilliant. So we had, Sitebull as headline sponsor. So I don't know if Patrick wants to come up and talk a few words about. Hands up if you've used Sitebull, by the way. There you go. Majority of people. Right, Patrick, I'd like you to come up and say a few words about Sitebull. Yeah, you said it was okay, I thought.
I thought we were doing a Q&A.
We are doing a Q&A, and you're coming up with 12 for that. All right,
What questions have we got?
Okay, well, why don't you talk about Sitebull first? Talk about, the offer that you're coming up for Black Friday.
Yeah, okay. Well, so Sitebull is for anyone doing lots of website crawling, right? So if you're doing in an agency, you're doing technical SEO for clients, then Sitebull will massively help you. But pretty much everyone in here is already using Sitebull, it seems. So, but if you're not, we have the offer, which has gone again. But sitebull.com/north will give you the 60-day free trial. And next week we have loads of offers. We have offers on our desktop product. We have offers on our cloud plans as well, which is the new thing we've done in the last couple of years. So Sitebull is now also able to crawl up to millions of URLs. We've got loads of agencies that have got literally all their sites in there, so that's really, really good for the collaboration piece. It's really good for scheduling roles and all that sort of stuff. So yes, come and talk to me or Maruna if you want to learn more specifics about Sitebull, or go ahead and ask questions right now.
Any questions for Patrick on Sideball?
Don't understand.
Did anyone watch any of the webinar series actually, or was it AI SEO? What was the lead-in?
Yeah, we've got one running at the moment on AI SEO by Zach Johannes. So we've done, the first two of them have run. We're having a break next week because it's American Thanksgiving, but then the week after there's the third one, which I think will probably be the most advanced one. This is all just free stuff, you can just go and get on the website. And as Sophie mentioned earlier, we have an e-commerce SEO series that both Nikki and Sophie very kindly took part in for specifically on doing tech SEO for e-commerce. So again, you just go on the website, it's all completely free content, you should go on there and learn.
Okay, can we invite Harrison up to the stage, George up to the stage, Sophie up to the stage, Charlie up to the stage? Patrick, you okay to stay there, please? So we've got a bit of Q&A, so I think Nikki's going to be leading the Q&A, so I'm just going to pass the mic to Nikki.
Yes, well, I've got a few questions that I thought of as this was going on, but if anybody else has any questions, burning questions that they want to ask, please do shout and one of us will run around and pass the mic over. But the first question I had, and might be one for you, George, it could also be for Sophie, or equally anybody can take it, but the first question I had was, for an enterprise site, probably one for you actually, Harrison, for an enterprise site with millions of pages, what is the single biggest technical mistake that you've seen that leads to massive crawl budget wastage, and how can we mitigate that?
Hello, hello again. Maybe parameterized URLs and dynamic pages that get created. I think, to be honest, it's obviously it depends. But yeah, I'd say typically for enterprise sites, it's normally a lot of issues is the CMS holding it back because it's like decades and decades of history these sites have got, and they're all on really old, shoddy CMSs that, like in Sophie's example. Next is creating all these random pages, and normally when you're on a newer CMS it kind of handles all this stuff for you, so I'd say yeah, parameterized and dynamic URLs often caused by shoddy CMSs, I would say. Anything wrong?
I wouldn't necessarily say enterprise sites, maybe this is for all sites, but I find you could give the development team a perfect list of URLs. You've done all of the pre-planning, like Harrison mentioned, and then you get there and they go live with the site, and none of the planned URLs which you've painstakingly mapped out are the same as what you specified they should be. And then all your redirect maps are wrong, everything else is wrong. They've just basically not been following the kind of URL structure that you were basing all of your plans around it. So I think just double and triple checking, like on staging, that they've actually they followed the same plans that you had in your mind they were going to, because I feel like one hyphen difference in a URL folder has completely fucked your whole site, like redirect planning. So you've got to go back and just make sure that's all actually cross all T's, dot all the I's, which is why staging checks are super useful. Like you can crawl their staging site and just swap out the domain name to make sure that your redirects will actually work and pick up all of those ones before they go live. Not always possible, they're always like, we're going live tomorrow, like fuck. But yeah, I think that's the biggest mistake generally.
And I'd say also like with kind of sites of that size, content quite often will just get forgotten about, and you'll sort of discover things that aren't necessarily being linked to or even really indexed, but sort of just exist somewhere really hard to find, or maybe they are being linked to and the kind of information is no longer relevant, it's using old brand names, it's using old information. But with a site of that size, it's quite hard to actually kind of notice those issues. So there are a lot of great tips on in kind of both Harrison and Sophie's talks on like comparing your crawls to the number of pages that are actually being indexed either through GSC or kind of by doing a site search. And then, yeah, also just at some point how you dig in by kind of like priority number of like links into pages, and just kind of making sure that everything is really sense checked.
Does anyone in the audience have any questions they'd like to ask before I carry on? Yeah, I'll run round.
So this is Chris Spann. He's a very, very good technical SEO, so get ready for this one.
Working on the assumption that all AI tracking platforms are bullshit, how do we go about quantifying actual performance, particularly like live RAG-assisted queries within LLMs? For anyone who fancies answering it.
I think there's no answer to that question right now at the moment, because all the tools are just trying to present really nice looking interfaces. But I mean, we were talking about this on the training wave, weren't we? We're like, prompt tracking is bullshit, right? Yeah. Because very rarely will anyone use the same prompt. So you've got to try and, these tools are trying to like quantify like entities and linking prompts to try and create clusters to track some kind of visibility score. I mean, SEMrush has probably got bought for 1.9 billion off the basis of the bullshit SEO AI visibility score. I mean, if SEO is dead, it's surely not for the SEO impact. So like, I don't know. I've not got an answer to that question. I think at the moment I don't really trust any of the tools implicitly, because it's still like essentially early days. I guess trying to look for a visibility score is a wrong question, isn't it? Because like visibility of what? Because there aren't rankings. Like visibility scores are calculated usually off the basis of rankings, or how you rank in certain terms. Rankings don't really exist in AI. So I guess my answer to that would be like, why are you trying to track visibility? Really, it's performance, isn't it?
I think the closest thing to your question at the moment is go watch the Sideboard webinar search series on AI search. Like yesterday, it was next level. So the one in 2 weeks' time is going to be more advanced, and I think that might unpick some of the questions you're answering in your head.
Yeah, I was going to say it's content performance in AI, isn't it, rather than visibility?
Yeah.
What I'd probably say.
Because I get the feeling that if we ever get to a point where a CMO gets access to like the prompt that led to a citation, they're just going to be trying to rank for where can I buy that then, over and over and over and over again. So yeah.
I mean, that's the issue I've got with the current tools that are out there. Not all of them. Wi-Fi is probably great, but a lot of the other ones out there where it's like the number of citations. It's like for what and what did that actually do? Not very much. I shouldn't have thought. Like the kind of vanity like scores that you get in, I'm not going to name it, it'll be like that. I don't think they really mean anything. I'm not going to name anything.
I think it's all so early, to be honest. And where when Charlie created his slides, the image generation then to now, that shows you how far it's come, right? I mean, did any of the words say anything? Were there any real words on there? But it just shows you how far we've come in such a short amount of time. What AI is now is not what it will be in a year's time. So chasing results today, to me, doesn't make a lot of sense. Because, give it 6 months, give it a year, it'll all completely change again. Just do tech SEO instead.
Just to play devil's advocate, I agree with everything that's been said here, but I would also say that personalisation is not something new. I would say, near me phrases have been a keyword that people have been trying to knuckle down on for years and years and years. AI overviews, location-based terms. There's so much personalisation in the search results at the moment anyway, that we probably have a hard time rank tracking. So I would say if you've got spare money, pick one tool and stick with it. But on the basis that it's not going to be completely accurate, and with a lot of caveats and setting expectations early to clients and saying, look, this is the best we have. Just having those open conversations. But that being said, I agree with the guys here, and I actually think none of them. But I do think the personalisation thing is an interesting one, because that's the reason why we can't, because it's also personalised, but that's also not brand new. You know, we still have difficulty tracking a lot of other queries, so.
Oh, I was going to say, you can't track that. The only thing you can track is referrals from ChatGPT, or when people get to your website and say, oh, I asked ChatGPT this thing, and it referred you to the site, like, a tool's not going to do that for you. It's just making sure, is the information correct? Which I think Charlie mentioned way ago, like, yeah, does it actually know what you do? And I think that's a problem, that's a concept problem. It's actually, like, do you explain what you do in simple terms on your website that a person or a machine could understand? Because a lot of websites don't.
So I've got two SEO-related questions. The first one's Patrick, obviously. How soon can we see a report in Siteball which shows us how close we are to losing a guy in days?
That is actually a feature we've been working on since 1997. When did that film come out?
1999.
99?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So next year.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I will hold you to that.
That will replace Charlie's favourite hint.
And a follow-up to Sophie. In the SEO presentation Rom-Com Multiverse, can we see next a link analysis of New Look based on the beats of Molly and Me? I would very much appreciate that.
Okay, we will talk, because I definitely want to do that talk. So yeah, Marley and Me, I watched that and I had to watch 2 more comedies afterwards to get over it. Like, I can't say that I won't cry during this presentation, but I'll cry.
I don't think analysis reports like that, so you're all right.
Anybody else have any questions?
Do I have to be serious?
Yes.
A question for Harrison. So you mentioned during the presentation that a migration is a good opportunity to get rid of some low-value pages, and also, but at the same time, it's not worth to spend 15 seconds to find the perfect match URL. So in this case, would we find for every single page we will prune a closer match, or will we migrate to a subfolder or the home page? Or
So I would say when you're doing content pruning as an exercise, as part of migration, hopefully at that stage you'll have already picked up a lot of data about the site in the migration, and hopefully that stage should be easier. But yeah, I would always, if you can, go for as like for like as you can. I mean, we had some disagreements on this earlier, but I'm not a fan of going to the homepage unless you have to. But yeah, again, it's that prioritization piece. Hopefully you've already done the checks, you've seen if it's got links, if it's had clicks historically. If it's not, it might not even be worth thinking about, and in that case, homepage it or category above, or...
I've got a question for you. So, you're doing your migration, you've got all your URLs you want to redirect, you've got like 1,000 JPEG URLs from Wayback Machine, they've got backlinks, where you're redirecting them to. Homepage.
This is what I was saying before. It's really powerful for my account.
But like, if you redirect them, like, it's not going to be a word of image, right?
It's better than they're better than 4.4, isn't it?
Test and learn. I don't know. Someone test it.
I'm saying that apart from those sites, all the sites say the same. So, well, all sorts of sites do. I don't know why. Just the URL. Yeah, so I see quite a lot of sites especially on e-com sites where the JPEG URLs get on the list.
I have seen them, but whenever I've looked at the links, it's always just been
The argument is I would either like 410 to sort of like crawl or redirect. So they keep getting 404s and then Google still trying to crawl them. Yeah. You don't I wasn't saying you should definitely use the learning page. It's page developers that haven't been before. But you need to do something with every URL, especially if you can see the Google trying to crawl it. I'll be arguing that a redirect is better than leave it to get crawled.
My point was that redirecting to semantically relevant pages does not pass the value long term. Well, that's actually a good use of AI, is understanding what are semantically similar pages.
Yeah.
And so knowing pre and post, that's where you can start using vector embeddings and that sort of stuff to understand what was this page about. Let's make sure when we're redirecting, let's pick the topically relevant page. So whether pages are disappearing or it's just a like-for-like replacement, that is a really, really good use of AI, because that is one of the things they're good at, is understanding language, topics, entities, all that stuff.
I just like thinking you have a relevant new image URL for it.
Yeah, use AI to create really good
Just ask ChatGPT what to do.
Alright, thank you everyone. We're going to wrap up the Q&A because we only have 10 minutes left of the bar. I'm assuming people may want one more drink, but before I come back to Chris, just thank you everyone for coming on today, and to those of you that asked questions, thank you very much, and a final round of applause for everyone on stage.
Big thank you for Georgia, big thank you for Harrison, Charlie for doing his impromptu, and Patrick for jumping up. Sorry. But guys, we hope you've had a good evening this evening, and we're going to be back in early next year. We're going to be doing Liverpool next. And we're possibly going to do a webinar in the new year. We're going to be doing an AI and search, so we've got a deep dive on there. So yeah, we're basically going around semantics. We're going to try and get, we're going to poach some of Patrick's speakers, basically. So, so just big thank you for the sponsors. So Patrick and Cybo for headline sponsor. Remember, they've got some swag on the way out, so please help yourself to that. DemandSphere. So Cybo do webinar series with DemandSphere, but DemandSphere are like a rank tracking and LLM tracking software that you can use. So you can see across the seats, there's flyers around those, so just go check their website out. Big shout out to Charlie again for impromptu joining the stage, and sponsoring for the food and drink for the HiveMCR next year, and to Glass Atlas, which was our community sponsor for the last minute, just to give them a big shout out. But yeah, the guys, the bar's still open, so go get a drink. Thanks for coming.
It's about 40 minutes. So, it's okay, it's okay.
I was like, no one's stopping me, it's fine.
It's okay, it was good. So we got... It's amazing. I think it was a mix of Thank you. I'm really good. Thank you. No.
You've got. No, you've done well. Honestly, amazing. So well done, you guys.
Thanks for coming in, Mo.
What's you tomorrow?
No, I'm off tomorrow. I'm going to stay out a couple of beers.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we ran into meetings till like
It's just how it is, isn't it? Though Sheffield is like, when I came on my lunch, I asked them, I said, can I drive down because I know and obviously I'm not going to be yeah, I drove straight to the you commit, I've got it all set up. It was lovely, really nice question. Did you have a
Yeah, so one of them was back test, and
Oh yeah, the big SEO.
Yeah, I feel like Glass Atlas for it. I said, well,
Oh, so I mean, much as it's been in Sheffield, I don't even really interesting questions.
I was thinking along the lines of asking a lot of questions around.
Yeah, so I think it's what about Cotwood James as well? I've seen him in years. He's great. Yeah, he's really great. Yeah, no, you really, honestly, really well. It is tough.
Yeah, like try and how's your work? What's your having a drink?
How many have you had so far?
I'm only up for it.
Oh, okay. That's pretty good. We've got another 3 to go then. Right, well, enjoy your day off and weekend, and I'll see you next week.
I'll see you next week. Cheers, Emil.